Honestly, I never thought I would do this, but the video idea actually came to my head. Do you know what these are? If you do, let me know in the comments below. But in this video, we're going to be sharing my handheld collection. So it's time to enter here and grab all these handhelds. Let's go. All right, so here are all my current handhelds. I have had more over the years, and don't worry, I'll also explain what these are. So make sure you watch the whole video for that. But yeah, before we get in, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe and also pause the video right now and let me know in the comments what handhelds you have had over the years or what you have right now and why you love them. But finally, let's get into this. So of course, you already probably recognize all of these, and we will start with this right here. So this is a Game Boy Advance SP. This is a Game Boy that my wife bought me a couple years ago. I did grow up in the era of Game Boy and I never actually owned one myself, so I kind of missed out on a lot of those games. I more so started to get handhelds and games in general around the time of DS and PSP. So that's actually what I kind of grew up on more primarily, but here it is. This handheld is pretty fun and cool. It's not the best ergonomics because it's one of the originators, you know, but I love that it's so compact and easy to carry anywhere. The bag lift is pretty good and I love playing Sonic on it. So definitely starting off with a banger. This is Game Boy SP was just a really good handheld overall. Like the library of games that it has is amazing and people still go back and play those games, whether it be on original hardware or emulation. Is just so tough. And if you have a folding phone, you know, really good experience. Now next, I guess I'll count these all together. Next set of handhelds I have that I will show is these DS's. So DS actually had a lot of different models throughout the years. This is a DS Lite in a Nerf case. This one is my wife's. All these DS's are hers. We had more. I had some, but got rid of them for different reasons. But these are what we have right now. And yeah, so DS had different models. You know, we had the big chunky DS. I never actually had that one. But when the DS Lite came around, I was able to get one as a Christmas present. This is super iconic. I don't remember the screen being this tiny, but they are very tiny and it was so much fun. Like DS has probably one of the best game libraries of all time. I really enjoyed this console. I just feel like it was amazing. It was also backwards compatible with Game Boy games, so you were able to play those on the DS. It was just so tough. One of the cool things about Nintendo DS was PictoChat and download play. You had like this little menu thing with the calendar and the time and stuff, and then you could put your name. It was pretty cool. But PictoChat, back in the day, whenever my mom bought us a console or a handheld, she did not buy any games. So we literally just had to make do with what we had. So we would spend hours in PictoChat. Like there'd be other kids in our building who had DS's as well. And we'd literally just be on PictoChat, just talking to each other. So this is a lobby that I hopped in, and then other people with DS's can hop in the lobby. So I'm going to show you that with this DSi. Boom, you see it shows that somebody's in there. Hop in, and now I can send a message and boom, I received it on this DS. PictoChat, it was kind of like a messenger before messengers were, you know, a widespread thing. And this was also the era or the beginning of the era where not a lot of people had computers and smartphones didn't really exist. Like we would literally get home from school and hop on PictoChat and like, all right, I just got home, gonna hop on PictoChat, let's see if anybody's on. Of course, I gotta angle it in the corner to get signal across the apartments in this building. Hey, let's go. And that's what it was like. Imagine me and my siblings just crowding around the corner of the door trying to get signal to talk to our other friends in the building. Our building wasn't huge, it was only 3 floors, which is why we were able to communicate. And you can type, you can draw and all this stuff. One of the things that I would do in particular with PictoChat, I would animate. So let me show you an example of that. So boom, I'll draw a stick figure or something like that. And then you can press this to send. Then you can copy with select. So start to send, copy with select. Then I will copy, draw something, send, copy, draw some more. So basically like frame by frame, adding on to this animation. And then eventually you'll get an end result that looks like an animation when you scroll through it very fast. This is something I spent hours doing. Like I made so many animations. I wish that I had a camera or a camera phone back in the day to record this stuff because I feel like it's pretty cool to think about. So yeah, this is how I play the animation. So you hold these buttons and then boom. So yeah, I had like elaborate animations in PictoChat, spent hours to myself. And this is another thing that you can save. Like you don't save these chats. As soon as you leave, it's just gone. Like if I press the X here, I'm gone. And that's it. Also, back in the day with the DS consoles, you couldn't like just go back to the home page. Anytime you stopped doing something or you left the menu, you would have to shut down usually. So turn off the device and then boom. But spent hours with DSs as a kid. They have some of the best multiplayer games like Mario Kart, Metroid Prime. Used to spend hours with those. And then we just have them now. All these DSs can connect with each other, can share games that I only have one copy of to the other DSs, and we can play with up to like 8 people in some games like Mario Kart. So we have them around for those purposes, bust them out at like party events or, you know, gatherings and stuff like that. So DSs are fun. So now this is a DSi. This is the later model of the DS series, and it basically functions the same as the DS's, except it doesn't have a slot for the Game Boy. And it was also the first Nintendo handheld to have like a hub or a menu where you can do different things. Like you have a web browser now, you have Flipnote Studio, where this is something again where I spent hours. So you can go here, you can create, and then you can also go online and share. So this was like YouTube for me. Like back in the day, I would just flip through and see what people were making. People made elaborate stuff on here, like with soundtracks and stuff like that, music videos, just crazy animations. It was amazing. I wish I had memories of all these things. This is just an example of a quick, you know, flip animation. It's basically like frame by frame animation or stop motion if you're familiar with that stuff. You can even adjust the speed of how it goes through and stuff like that. Like it was pretty cool. So yeah, at least with this one you can save your animations and stuff. But I don't have any of my original DSIs, so there's that. But the DSi was the evolution. You know, you had the DSi shop, so you can go online and download games and different software for it. You still had PictoChat, you still had Download Play, and then there was also the cameras. This was revolutionary for the time because camera phones were really a thing, or at least kids and stuff like that didn't really have phones, especially phones with cameras. So this was pretty revolutionary because it allowed you to take pictures and videos and just remix them and stuff like that. Of course, the cameras were trash, but back in the day they were good enough. And yeah, just a DS, but I would say a better hardware package. Like it just feels better, looks better. It's just a very clean design, and I actually really do like the DSi design. But the fact that you can't play Game Boy games built in is kind of unfortunate. So now moving on to the 3DS era, I had many different 3DSs, sold them for different reasons or got rid of them for different reasons, like giving to people and stuff. And I have so many memories with 3DS as well. 3DS is like that console where I finally started buying games myself with my own money. Some of my early jobs, my early paychecks went towards games for the 3DS and the DS in general. So this might be my favorite console of all time. Maybe after the Switch/Switch 2, which we'll get into. But yeah, the 3DS was just amazing. So it's basically what the DSi and the DS did, but like better and better hardware, so you can play different games. Like there's literally like full 3D games on this. I remember seeing the games on 3DS and being like, wow, this is amazing. And then the fact that 3DS also had the 3D gimmick where you can turn on the slider right here to play the games in 3D like that. Yeah, you had to be there. It was actually really insane. Still had the cameras and you can take 3D pictures and stuff like that. It was just really cool. So yeah, bigger screens, better hardware, which means better graphics and bigger games and stuff. Just a lot going on with the 3DSs. I really love this era of Nintendo gaming. It was really fun. The online play got so much better too. And one of the coolest things about 3DS was Street Pass, where you can have your 3DS, it'll be on in like power save mode when it's closed, and then the green light will show. And then if you have it like in your bag or something like that, you're traveling outside, going on the bus, going to school, other people who have 3DSs, your 3DS will communicate with them, and it will basically share like your contact or your information back and forth. And then when you get home, you open it up, and then it will show you like all the people that you Street Pass, and it would like, they'll have like little messages and stuff like that. You can get like items. There's a bunch of mini games that use that Street Pass feature as well. And there's also games, like full games, that also use Street Pass to get you like different things in the game. So that was really cool. Definitely a great era of handheld gaming. I feel like the DS low-key, like the DS series low-key pioneered handheld gaming and like really had it running for a long time until the Switch came out. So really, really, really tough, enjoyable systems. This is a 2DS XL. And it was also really cool, just no 3D gimmick, but yeah, so tough. All right, so next we got the Nintendo Switch era. So this is a Switch Lite. It's actually the Pokemon Sword and Shield Switch Lite, but I got these pink accessories for my wife. And honestly, the Switch era, again, just amazing, bro. Like there's definitely things Nintendo can improve on, even right now with the Switch 2, but the Switch era in general was such a legendary run. I remember when I finally got one, I wasn't able to buy it at launch, but when I finally got one, It was amazing. My wife got one too. Just had so many years of playing Switch games and having fun. Super Smash Bros, Mario Kart, Pokemon, all the Pokemon games. You know, people have had their opinions on the different Switch things and games and stuff like that, but these are years and hours and hours and hours and hours of gameplay that I think was well spent. I have no regrets, you know, spending all that time on the Switch, the Nintendo Switch, and playing all those games. So definitely amazing. The Switch Lite was actually pretty cool because of how small it was. The form factor was actually amazing. And I even, you know, I bought a couple Switch Lites over the years when I wanted something that was more portable than the bigger Switch. So it was actually really cool to just carry around, kind of like a DS or like a Game Boy. Obviously not as small as them, but like this can fit in my pocket. Yeah, it was actually pretty fun to carry around the Switch Lite like that and use it. And it had the same capabilities, the same power, just didn't have the external display support, which I feel like Nintendo should have just gave us that, you know, plug it into a dock and then it displays on the TV. Honestly, this would have been the superior Switch, in my opinion, than this because of how portable it is, but still the ability to dock it would have been sick. But yeah, moving on to the original Switch / the OLED. This is the OLED model, so it's not the OG. Again, just this era of gaming was so amazing, man. Like, you had to be there. This OLED screen was also a great upgrade. It wasn't like worth it price wise if you already had the original Switch, but like the OLED brought so many quality of life things, like this kickstand. The build quality just felt nice. The screen was bigger and the OLED screen also looked nicer. It was just a really good upgrade in that sense. And then, you know, the slots and stuff like that, things were just more put together. This is how the original Switch should have been in terms of design. But yeah, it was just great, man. And you know, I still use the OLED to this day, but the Switch 2 came out. So the OLED is now being retired. I'm actually going to sell it this Friday, hopefully, and get some money back. But the Nintendo Switch era was just amazing. The Joy-Cons coming off, being able to quickly play tabletop games with a friend. Like, these are two separate controllers that you can both play at the same time, whether it be Smash Bros, Mario Kart, any Switch game that supports multiplayer, you can play just like that with one console, one device. So that's something that's been consistent with the Nintendo handhelds, just the multiplayer aspect. They could have done a lot better with the Switch era, I can't lie, especially with the online stuff. Like, you would expect it to get better from the DS days. DS had online play as well, but you would expect it to get better from those days to the Wii, to the Wii U, to the Switch. But honestly, it didn't improve that much. Got a little bit better with the Switch too, but yeah. I know people are probably like, oh, this is a bunch of Nintendo handhelds only. I had other handhelds. I had the PS Vita, I had the PSP, I had multiple PSPs. I had other handheld PCs, which I'll get into later as well. The handhelds that stuck in my household and just in my possession were Nintendo ones for different reasons. So now getting to the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is honestly an insane console, in my opinion, because of what it does. Like, it's what the Nintendo Switch 1 was, but just better. And I know people are like, oh, you're able to play games that are so old, like Hogwarts or Cyberpunk 2077. Like, now you can finally play those games. But fam, if you buy a handheld PC, now you can play those games. So it's the same thing. Like, if you had a PC in the past and you weren't able to play those games, you buy newer hardware, now you can finally play those games you wanted to play, or you played before but you want to play them better. The Switch 2 does that. So, like, for example, games like Pokemon Violet, people are saying it should have been 60 FPS, and I do agree it should have been like that, but this hardware was so limiting, probably beyond what we even imagined, which is why it didn't get the best support in its lifetime, and why a lot of developers, third-party developers, didn't want to hop on the Nintendo Switch. And now Switch 2 just takes it to another level. Like, things are just so much smoother, so much better. The hardware is really mature and good. Kickstand is good. The controllers are so satisfying to take off and put on. Like, it uses magnets, bro. It's just so tough. Works very fast, very smooth. The controllers connect to this console way faster than the other Switches. Even like the previous controllers, they connect way faster, like instantly. Whereas sometimes with the previous Switch, I have to wait or I have to try for longer, or go in here and stuff like that. And then there's also a lot of tech built into the Switch too. Like, for example, both Joy-Cons are mouses. Like, look how fast and smooth that is in terms of like just working, and also the fact that you can use it as a mouse. So certain games you can actually play like competitively with a mouse. Going back to the performance, 4K 60 FPS potential on the external screen, 1080p 120 FPS potential on the built-in screen, but the baseline is 60 FPS. Any game that is made for the Switch 2 or has been updated is 60 FPS, and that is something that I really want. Honestly, I like, people are, you know, saying like, oh, they finally caught up, whatever, you could play older games. I don't care about all that stuff. Me personally, I was fine with the Nintendo Switch one. If they made an update where every single game ran at a stable 60 FPS, I would keep the Switch one. I would buy a Switch one. If I didn't have one in 2025, I would buy it if they just made 60 FPS. Like, that is, honestly, that is enough for me, to be honest. That is enough for me. So the fact that the Switch 2 can do that with way better graphics, way better everything, with a solid frame rate of 60 FPS is amazing. So great upgrade. You have two USB-C ports for more accessories and more flexibility, which I love. I know a lot of docks don't work with the Switch 2 yet, but we should be getting those soon. And just the potential is just amazing, man. Bigger screen as well, better screen. Pretty comparable to the OLED. Like, the OLED has better colors, whatever, deeper blacks. But I think just 1080p panel is just better. And then variable refresh rate as well. There's just so much packed into the Switch package that makes it amazing. And as the library grows, even though it's already huge, so many Switch games that are already out there in the eShop and that I have as well that can be played on this console and even have a better experience with the graphic fidelity and the FPS, and some of them without updates as well. It's just a lot, bro. So the library is only going to get better, and I think it's already amazing now. Even though, you know, people are criticizing because it didn't launch with a lot of games, which is valid, but like, the console itself is still amazing, and there's still so many games that you can sink hours and hours and hours into. So I'm very excited to have it, very excited about it. It's been a great experience so far. Battery life is good. Like, as somebody who uses handheld PCs, I didn't expect this thing to last as long as the Switch 1, because more power, higher res screen, higher FPS, you know, higher fidelity. Like, if you're playing more demanding things, then of course you're going to get less battery life. If I play, you know, let's say Stardew Valley, then I'm going to get probably similar battery life to the Switch 1. If I play games that are not demanding at all, then of course I'll get better battery life. But if I'm playing Mario Kart World, if I'm playing whatever, Cyberpunk 2077, of course I'm going to get, you know, 2 to 3 hours of battery life. But even that 2 to 3 hours of battery life is still better than most handheld PCs, or it matches them. So in various tests I've seen, more stable performance, even better graphics in some of the tests. So again, just a really solid handheld. And then the fact that you can just go like this in the dock, and then it's on the external screen with 4K 60 FPS or 1080p 120 when those updates start to roll out. So anyways, experience has been amazing, and I love the Switch 2 because I love the Switch 1, and Switch 2 is just that but better. So of course I'm gonna love it. But now onto the handheld PC right here. So if you watch my channel, then you know that I've been a Lenovo Legion Go guy for a long time since that launched. That was probably my favorite handheld PC. But right now I have the ROG Ally X again. The reason why I have it again is because of a couple things: the battery life, the performance, the extra RAM, and also the extra storage. I know there is a 1TB storage option for the Legion Go, but the extra RAM actually makes a difference in stability for these handheld PCs, and it's just a better experience overall. And then also, X has a variable refresh rate screen. A big thing for me nowadays is the form factor. Like, this is very, very easy to carry around, very pocketable. It's just easy to fit a mobile lifestyle, you know, a lifestyle that's always on the go, or I need to carry things up and down 3 flights of stairs. This is so much better than the Legion Go. I can fit this in places where the Legion Go can't. So form factor alone is a big upgrade for me in terms of my lifestyle right now. Before, the Legion Go was fine, but like, this just makes so much more sense. I know I do miss the big screen of the Legion Go, but the ROG Ally X just excels in so many different areas. It's just amazing. Even like playing at lower TDPs, it works so well. The battery life is amazing. Like today, I got like 6 hours of screen on time with this device, you know, playing Minecraft, playing different games that are not super demanding. So super, super amazing device right here. And that's why I have it right now instead of the Legion Go. The Legion Go was my favorite in terms of the flexibility. Like, it has a kickstand, it has a big screen, it has removable controllers like the Switch. It had the 2 USB-C ports and things like that. But the ROG Ally X is also almost as versatile, but like, just this is a lot more closer to a handheld experience compared to the Legion Go. The Legion Go was like taking a tablet and putting 2 big controllers on it. And then the ergonomics are way better on the ROG Ally as well. That's something that we've been known, but you know, this is a really good experience. So that's why I'm on this right now. And I also, when I traded for this. I got a dock with it as well, so that's been cool. And I also have a lap dock that I can use the ROG Ally with. So just connect the ROG Ally to this, and then boom, I have a desktop or a laptop experience from this device. Yeah, man, it's been fun having this device again, and just the power, the stability, everything is just very smooth and easy to use with this. And I've been appreciating the storage as well. My Legion Go storage was packed up. I could barely download anything. Like literally I had to uninstall games to, you know, play different games. But now with this, I can install my whole Steam library and more. Definitely looking forward to the Legion Go 2 though. I'm gonna keep my eye out for that, because again, Legion Go 1 was amazing. But right now I'm on the ROG Ally X, and yeah, it's great. So now moving on to these things. What are these? So these, I guess they're not necessarily handhelds, but they are kind of. I grew up in the era of like virtual pets and just interesting electronic devices. I feel like companies were trying a lot more back in the day to put out interesting products, especially when it came to like electronic products. And these are called Cube World, and there's so many different versions of them. Basically, it's a bunch of stick men that have occupations and do different things. Unfortunately, I don't have batteries to show you. Like maybe it's the way that I store these batteries, but they're all dead, even though they're brand new. So I don't have batteries to show you how they function, but you can definitely search it up, and I'll have clips. But basically they have a bunch of magnets around them, and these magnets also function as connectors. So when you connect these two cubes together, then they are able to interact. So the stickmen will leave their house, like there's visibly a door that they open, and then they go into the other cube and they do different things. Like sometimes they just chill, sometimes they talk, sometimes they fight. You can probably connect an unlimited amount of them, and it's just really cool. Like you have different size ones, like these big ones, and the big ones can host up to 4 guys at one time in this big screen. And like I said, they're just kind of like automated in terms of their connecting, and they'll go in and just interact and do different things. So it was a really fun experience, especially as a kid. Like this was so sick, so game changing. Like you never really seen anything like this before. And the fact that it was magnetic too, you could play around with it and just organize your cubes in different ways. And it's kind of like, if you have a lot of them, it's kind of like apartment buildings. Like they can literally just go upstairs, go downstairs, and they can cycle through all of them and interact with each other and stuff. It was really cool. But each one individually has its own occupation, like I said, and they have their own individual mini game that you can do. And they also have accelerometers too. So if they are connected and you rotate the cube, they will fall to the ground over here. If you rotate it back, they'll fall. So there's a built-in accelerometer, and you can interact with them like that with gravity. And you can also shake them up, and they'll do different things, like get shaken up and stuff like that. Just really cool toys. They're not fully a handheld, but like they were kind of a handheld. Like you had mini games, and you had a built-in record of your score in the mini games. It's kind of like the Tamagotchi, if you know those too. Tamagotchis were some of my favorite toys as well. Unfortunately, I don't have any more of them right now, because I got rid of them for different reasons or whatever. Or my mom, you know, she sent them back home to Guyana for whatever reason. So RIP to the Tamagotchis. But yeah, those were fun toys as well. So definitely miss this era of electronics, especially the see-through tech. Like this was some of the best looking technology back in the day. And that's part of the reason why I like Nothing. You know, Nothing is kind of bringing that retro vibe, but with a new spin. So it's cool. Looking forward to Phone 3. But yeah, definitely missed this era of technology for sure. It was so cool. All right, so that is basically the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Which handheld that I have do you like the most? And also, what is your favorite handheld that you use the most in your own life, or that you have used? Maybe you don't play much handheld gaming, or you don't use handhelds that much anymore, but let me know, what have you used the most and what have you enjoyed the most, and your thoughts on anything I've said in the video. So yeah, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future videos, and until the next one, we're out. Peace.